Good morning. We're on week 3 already of distance learning, and this happens to be a really important week because it's also the last week of our quarter. Next week we have our spring break, and then we haven't heard any updates quite yet about um, when we come back to school. So as far as I know, we come back after spring break. So I just wanted to give a quick overview of this week and what to expect. I just shared the new assignment with you, and it's called Teenagers and New Technology Text. So when you open that up, it'll ask you to complete the same steps as before. I made a few changes to make it easier. So people had questions about what a synthesis statement is, and we know that's a summary statement. So you could just say, like, this section is about. And then I added some frames for questions. So you're still going to complete a synthesis statement and a question for every 20 lines in the note sections. And then as far as the connections go, that step is still the same too. And then for the third step, you're still asking or answering questions at the end of the text. So in the new text, as you read through, one addition that I added was I just typed in the places where you should be adding a synthesis statement and a question. So you'll see, like, this is, for example, line 20. So for line 20, make sure that by then you have one of each. Then if you scroll down, here's line 40. So same thing, I added the section for you. And then this is a shorter text. So line 60 should be the last place that you complete that step. There's also some frames for you for the questions, so feel free to use the frames if you would like. Just make sure you're answering them in complete sentences, and there are only 4 questions. Just like last week, what was asked, I have created a weekly schedule for you so that you can follow it and, like, not feel too behind. This text is going to be due by Friday, so it gives you this whole school week. So make sure that you're following the suggested daily schedule so you don't fall behind. And also, since this is the last week of the quarter, it's also the last week to turn in late work. So just make sure that you're turning in anything that you would like to show me. Okay, so here for Monday, it tells you that your task should be to complete the first read. So that means, like, read the text, pause every 20 lines to create a question, and add a synthesis statement. Then today, later on, from 1 o'clock to 2 p.m., I will host an optional Zoom session. For the first 30 minutes, I'm just going to complete that task with you for those of you who sign on with me. So we can just complete the first read together. And then for the second 30 minutes, that's when you can, it's kind of like more open office hours. So you can show me any work that you're missing or ask any questions. So it's a little bit more open. I'm going to repeat the assignment from last week, where you're going to choose one of your questions from your first read and post them to a discussion board, because I think that gives you other ways of communicating with each other and interacting with the text. And then, as you can see, for the second read, it tells you that's where you're going to make the 4 connections after you reread the text. Then by Wednesday, you should be looking at the third read, answering those questions at the bottom. I will be having the optional Zoom session from 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. And for the first 30 minutes, we're going to answer the questions together at the bottom. So even if you get them done, it's a good chance for you to come and review with us. And then for the second 30 minutes, you can, once again, it's open office hours. Then by Thursday, if you're on track, your only goal should be to study for the quiz, look back at your notes, look back at the discussion questions and posts, which are due that day at 5 p.m. And then by Friday, that new text is due, so I'll be looking for your annotations, and then I'll also be assigning you the quiz that'll be due by Sunday. Okay, so if you have any questions, I have here as a reminder, just feel free to make sure that you're reaching out to me through Google Classroom, through email, through Parent Square, whatever works best for you. And remember that don't be afraid to ask any questions. Thank you.